Overthinking is often described as something to get rid of, as a habit that needs to be corrected, as a weakness that stands in the way of a calmer life. You may have heard advice like this many times. Stop thinking so much. Just let it go. Don't overanalyze. Over time, these messages can shape how you see yourself. You may begin to believe that your mind is a problem, that the way you think creates unnecessary difficulty. But overthinking is not a flaw. It is a response. Your mind does not linger because it is broken. It lingers because it is attentive. You notice details, you sense connections, you see consequences and possibilities that others may overlook. This depth of processing did not appear randomly. It developed because your system is oriented toward understanding. When something matters to you, your mind stays with it. It turns it over, looks at it from different angles, tries to place it within a larger picture. This is not dysfunction, it is engagement. Overthinking becomes exhausting, not because you think deeply, but because your thinking often happens under pressure. Pressure to arrive at answers quickly, pressure to be certain, pressure to make the right choice without enough space. In that environment, reflection turns into repetition. You may find yourself circling the same questions, replaying the same moments, revisiting the same doubts. This can feel like being stuck, but often it is a sign that something has not yet settled. A mind that seeks clarity does not easily accept incomplete understanding. It wants coherence. It wants alignment between thought, feeling, and action. You may feel uncomfortable leaving things unresolved, not because you need control, but because ambiguity feels unfinished. This sensitivity to incompleteness is often mislabeled as overthinking. But the tendency itself is not the problem. The problem arises when you judge yourself for thinking the way you do, when you add frustration to reflection, when you tell yourself that your inner activity should not exist. Judgment creates tension. Tension amplifies thinking. The more you try to suppress your thoughts, the louder they often become. Overthinking is often a sign that your mind does not feel safe enough to rest. Safety allows thoughts to slow naturally. Force does not. You may notice that your thinking eases in environments where you feel understood, where expectations are clear, where there is no urgency to perform. In those moments, your mind does not disappear. It softens. This suggests that your thinking responds to context, not to commands. You do not need to think less to find relief. You need less pressure around your thinking. Pressure can come from outside. Deadlines, expectations, constant stimulation. It can also come from inside, from the belief that you must get it right, that you must resolve everything, that uncertainty is unacceptable. When pressure eases, thinking becomes less rigid, more fluid and more spacious. You may notice that not all thoughts need action. Some simply need acknowledgement. You are not obligated to follow every line of thinking to its conclusion. You can allow thoughts to exist without engaging them fully. This is not avoidance. It is discernment. A mind that thinks deeply needs rest from responsibility, not from thought itself. You may carry the assumption that if you stop thinking, something will go wrong. That vigilance keeps you safe. That attention prevents mistakes. This belief often forms early, especially in complex or demanding environments. But constant vigilance is not the same as wisdom. Wisdom knows when to engage and when to release. Overthinking can soften when you allow yourself not to solve everything immediately, when you give questions time instead of answers. Some understanding arrives only after distance. Some clarity emerges only when effort stops. You are allowed to leave things unresolved. You are allowed to say, "I don't know yet." You are allowed to trust that your mind will return to what matters. Your mind does not forget what is important. It remembers without being pushed. Overthinking is often a sign of care. You care about impact, about meaning, about doing things thoughtfully. This care does not need to be removed. It needs support. Support looks like rest, like gentleness, like permission to be unfinished. You're not failing because your thoughts linger. You are integrating. A mind that moves slowly and thoroughly is not inefficient. It is deliberate. You may live in a world that rewards quick conclusions, fast opinions, immediate responses. In such a world, depth can feel like a liability. But depth is not the absence of clarity. It is clarity that takes time. You're allowed to work with your mind instead of against it, to notice when thinking turns heavy, and respond with softness rather than control. Overthinking is not something you need to eliminate. It is something you need to understand. When you stop treating your mind as a problem, it often begins to relax, not because it has changed, but because it no longer needs to defend itself. You are allowed to have a mind that reflects deeply, that pauses before concluding, that considers multiple layers at once. You are allowed to rest that mind without silencing it, to give it space without pressure. Overthinking is not a flaw, it is a sign of depth. Living in a world that does not always make room for it, and that depth deserves care, not correction.